There are two types of individuals in this life. You have the sympathetic individuals and you have the empathetic individuals. There are way more sympathetic individuals than there ever will be empathetic individuals. The sympathetic individuals are concerned with and seek safety. Their whole psychology is around the concern and seeking of safety. The empathetic individual are concerned with and seek understanding. Their whole psychology is around this concern and seeking of understanding. Understanding of what? Understanding of everything they need to understand in order to achieve their goals. The empathetic individual is always goal orientated. The only reason why the empathetic individual is goal orientated in the beginning, is empathetic in the beginning, is because they have a grandiose thing they are working towards. The reason why the sympathetic individual isn't goal orientated, doesn't seek understanding, isn't empathetic, is because they don't have a grandiose things they are working towards. They are always working towards feeling good, feeling safe, and comfort. They are feeling and comfort orientated. This means they are not goal orientated. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, but I know a lot of feminine people, feminine men and sympathetic women who are goal orientated. But what you guys are not seeing is that no. They are safety and feeling and comfort orientated. The things that they achieve, they are achieving those goals because they believe it will make them closer towards feeling safe. The sympathetic individuals, these are followers, these are consumers, these are the people who are looking for fathers, looking for leaders, looking for somebody to follow, all right? Because the sympathetic individual who's concerned with safety and can only think about me, I, and the self, because they're not emotionally regulated enough to come out of this and into this, right? They will always seek a leader. What we understand in society as a real man is simply the very, very small percentage of men who are highly empathetic. Everyone depends on this very small percentage of men who are highly empathetic, because this very small percentage of men are the only actors in society that are pro-social. I'll say that again. This small percentage of men are the only actors in society that are pro-social. Without relying on this small percentage of men, we will have a society full of antisocial behavior. Feminine men and obviously women, they have antisocial behavior. This is the reason why it's expected for men to approach women. It's expected for men to have the confidence and self-esteem to deal with women. It's expected for men to provide an experience for women. It's expected for men to provide and to protect women. It's expected for men to understand a woman, be able to read a woman, be able to predict a woman, be able to provide a safe space for a woman, to be able to entertain a woman. It's expected for men to do everything, because honestly speaking, it is only men who have the capacity and the ability to be pro-social. And I'll explain further. In this life, moral regulation is everything. All right. So we understand that we need to psychologically regulate ourselves. We understand that we have to emotionally regulate ourselves. We understand that we have to hormonally regulate ourselves. But we don't actually understand that we need to be able to morally regulate ourselves. If we are unable to morally regulate ourselves, then we are also unable to physically, emotionally, and hormonally regulate ourselves. So the things that we believe in is everything. If you guys are debilitated and suffering and stuck in life, you simply need to readdress the things that you believe in, because you are dysregulated, right? If you are unable to meet your own expectations of what you think is good and bad, if you are unable to live your life in accordance to what you believe is good and bad, you will be morally dysregulated, right? The reason why, okay, so let me explain to you let me explain to you the issue of being a woman and the issue of being a feminine man. All right, let me explain to you, right? So there are two ways to morally regulate yourself in this life. You can either morally regulate yourself by not doing bad, immoral things. This is called proscriptive regulation. So avoiding doing bad things. The sympathetic individual who struggles with shame, they feel good about themselves by not doing bad things. This is the reason why nice guys think that they're so good, simply because they don't abuse women, cheat on women, and they conform. So the nice guy morally regulates himself by not doing bad, immoral things. And the reason why the nice guy gets nowhere with anybody is because the nice guy has a lack of good things about him. The nice guy has a lack of good, impressive things about him because he doesn't morally regulate himself by doing good things. He morally regulates himself by not doing bad things. Now, the issue with the nice guy, feminine men and women, is that if you morally regulate yourself by not doing bad things, well, there is an absolute lack of good things being done. I'll say that again. If you morally regulate yourself by not doing bad things, then there is an absolute lack of good things being done. You are going to get to the age of 30 and you're going to be severely dysregulated because you don't have any reference points or experiences of good things you have done. You only don't do bad things, right? And what happens is, so that's called proscriptive regulation. The empathetic person has prescriptive regulation. So the empathetic person feels good about himself or herself by doing good things. The empathetic person is able to morally regulate themselves well. Where they're able to morally regulate themselves, they can psychologically regulate themselves, emotionally regulate themselves, and hormonally regulate themselves. All of these things are helping his understanding of the world. It's giving him a positive evaluation of the world. It's increasing his approach motivation. It's giving him a good relationship with the truth. They use the truth to actually get outcomes, right? And with all of these things, because they are empathetic and they're able to make accurate predictions of things, right? They're actually able to influence others very well. Because they're so regulated, they can influence themselves very well. So they know how to motivate themselves. They know how to look after themselves. They know how to accept themselves. They know how to influence themselves. And in turn, that they learn how to influence others, drastically increasing the empathetic person's chance of meeting their goals, right? So prescriptive regulation is the best type of regulation because this ends in positive mind states, positive end states, positive evaluations, and positive outcomes. All right. So this is the way to regulate yourself, by doing good things. And so when you do good things, the feedback is good. The world will tell you good things about yourself. You will have a good relationship with the truth, right? And you won't develop shame because you don't see the self as bad. You believe yourself to be good, and everybody is telling you about how great you are. So your relationship with the self looks like this, right? I'll get into this later. Does this make sense, guys? Right? You've never done anything good. You've only avoided doing bad things. So when you do eventually do something bad, you're going to experience shame, right? So this is how people develop the concept of the bad self. This is what an unhealthy relationship with the self looks like. This is what a healthy relationship with the self looks like. The empathetic individual learned a very, very long time ago that in order for him to understand others and other people and the world, he needs to be able to understand himself first. So what the empathetic individual does is that he sees the self as a separate entity. I'll say that again. The empathetic individual sees the self as a separate entity, right? Let's say this is him and this is the self. The empathetic individual will learn, I need to have a good relationship with myself in order to understand myself, in order before I can even understand anything else. So what the empathetic does, individual does, is he splits and he this is how he conceptualizes the self. When you split yourself like this, well, then you're able to see the self, you're able to hear the self, listen to the self, right? So when you split the self like this, well, then this is when you're able to actually have a relationship with the self. This is when you can learn to love the self, respect the self. Do you get it? Right? So this kind of formulates a healthy relationship with the self, right? The sympathetic individual is unable to do that. This is what messes up the sympathetic. This is what messes up these types of people. This is why they're unable to like achieve the things that they want to achieve in life.
My personal experience is working with people who are hypersensitive. You genuinely can't excel in life. You really can't excel because everybody and anybody can upset you. Everybody has power over you. Whereas when you're not a sensitive person, you're so you disarm everybody around you because their words don't mean anything to you.
Because they have a negative relationship with the self. So this is the reason why the sympathetic individual won't take accountability. This is the reason why they won't apologize and say sorry. They can't afford to see themselves as bad because they don't have any good things that to counteract. Because they don't do good things. They only don't do bad things. So they can't see themselves as bad, right?
Solicited advice from a bisexual woman because I love both sides of the team. Gentlemen, women don't like to take accountability because they don't like being declared wrong. And because they think that that's what they mean, they stay away from it. Here's the thing, ladies, accountability means that you acknowledge the ways in which your participation affected an outcome. Really, that's it. Men aren't necessarily declaring you right or wrong. They just want you to acknowledge the ways in which your behavior affected an outcome. That's it. That's all. That's all it really is.
To the empathetic individual, they are easily able to say sorry because if you tell them about a bad action or a bad behavior they did last week, they are able to, they won't internalize. They won't believe that you are calling them a bad person. They're able to, because they already practice this in their own spare time, right? So when you're saying something about them, they can easily look into that without their emotions being involved because they're concerned with the truth, right? They can, and if they did do something wrong, they'll apologize. They'll say sorry. They'll make up for it. They'll rectify the situation, right? The empathetic individual has guilt. Guilt is a good thing. Guilt actually leads to pro-social behavior. Guilt leads to reflection. Guilt leads to accountability. It provides the energy to say sorry, to make it up to somebody, to change your behavior. That's what guilt does. Guilt is good, So, and this is something, but unfortunately the sympathetic person suffers with shame. Shame leads to antisocial behavior. Shame dysregulates you. Shame is so dangerous. You can destroy anyone with shame. And this is the reason why they try to destroy you with shame, right? Because shame completely dysregulates everything internally, right? Because when you're struggling with shame, it's because the self is calling you a bad person. The self is watching everything you're doing and not doing, and it's honest. The self just feeds back what it sees. So if you're a slag, you're a slag. If you're a coward, you're a coward. If you're a nice guy and you're only being nice to get women, it's saying all of those things to you. If you're a woman and you lack empathy and everything nice you do is performative empathy, it's saying all those things to you. So what the sympathetic, shameful person does is that in order to regulate themselves, they have to lie to themselves and tell themselves every day that they're a good person, because this is not what the self is telling them. So this is the reason why the sympathetic individual who struggles with shame is known to lie to themselves, is known to be delusional, is known to be entitled, because they have to do all of those things in order to regulate themselves. This is called proscriptive regulation. You can thank me later. I know I'm a genius. right? And all of these things lead to antisocial behavior. Antisocial behavior leads to more bad things being done, right? So antisocial behavior leads to more bad things being done. You're going to hear more people tell you bad things about who you are, or you're going to hear more people want to ask you to say sorry and apologize to something that you did to them, which is going to add more and more and more shame, which is going to make the bad self even more evil. Now the bad self is just really cussing you out, right? And that's going to make you deny more and more truth. This is going to make you have inhibitions. Your inhibitions are going to make you avoidant. It's going to make you lie to yourself and to others. This is right. So that's how this cycle happens. It's a cycle, right? The shame makes you do antisocial bad behaviors. The bad behaviors is going to make people treat you badly. The bad behaviors is going to make people say bad things about you. That's going to dysregulate you even further, so you cannot accept what they're saying. Because if you accept what they're saying, it confirms that you're a bad person. As a human being, we cannot see ourselves as bad. We will be dysregulated. We have to see ourselves as good. So the sympathetic person has to continue to lie to themselves even further, continuing the cycle until they are saved by the small percentage of empathetic men who have an understanding and mastery of the self and of others. This is who they're looking to save them. If you are not this guy, if you are this guy, you can't save these types of women. Does all of this make sense, guys? I don't know if I left anything else out, but that's what I'm going to go and do for now. So, right, women self-communicate and indirectly communicate. That's antisocial behavior. Women lead a burden of interpretation up to you. Women don't even see themselves as accountable or responsible to explain what they mean. They don't even take responsibility of communication. They'll put the responsibility on you for you to interpret what they really meant. That's antisocial behavior, right? Secrecy, antisocial behavior. You see what I'm trying to, does that make sense, right? Women have antisocial behaviors, you know? So as a man, you need to have pro-social behavior, right? Because society needs you. Our society will collapse and burn if we do not have enough empathetic men. Okay? It will burn. You know, if everyone in society have anti-goals, right? Anti-goals is the feeling of regulation and success from taking steps away from something, avoiding something. If everyone has that, like we can see in society, then all of our flipping directions of a society is going to be stupid. This is the reason why we put all of our attention into bloody trans people and pronouns, right? Is that a goal or an anti-goal? Exactly. Why we make our whole society now is sympathetic, and you will see the things that we fight for, stupid things that we're not prospering and we're not advancing or improving as a society because we're just avoiding bad things. Society is now very feminine. We need society again to be masculine, and we need more empathetic men who can do that, men who don't feel sorry for themselves. You know, men who are not inwards, men who are not narcissistic. We need outwards men who care for the greater good, men who are planting seeds for the next generation, men who are setting the standards of higher values, because the women are not going to do that. Where women morally regulate themselves by not doing bad or immoral things, this is the reason why a woman will do whatever men are doing. A woman will do whatever is acceptable to do, you know? So that's why a woman would say, well, the men are doing it. That's because the women, they don't have any concept of the greater good. The women only feel sorry for themselves. So the woman will do whatever is socially acceptable, and the women won't do whatever is socially unacceptable. All right. So the women aspire to the lowest values in society. And so because of that, society rests on the back of the small percentage of empathetic masculine men, right? Who set the way and lead examples. You know, these are the men who are approach minded. These are the men who start families, start communities, who stand on things. These are the men who create, right? These are producers. These are the men who are putting themselves out there, dying for a cause, influenced in society in positive ways, not for him or other men, but for the goodness of society, for the greater good. We need more of these men. You know, the women are not designed to be like that. These women require... They're not leaders. Guys, like, follow, leave a comment, sign up for the one-on-one coaching.
It goes back to like men being less complicated than women. I told you that because with women now, to make me happy, I don't even know what I need sometimes.
I could
You know what I mean?
That.
Like I'm just cranky today. I don't know what's going on. I'm PMSing. I just yelled at the parking guy for giving me a ticket. I'm just explosive that day. I'm not really in touch all the time to like why I feel that way. So women are way more complicated. So usually the problems in the relationship stir up from something that you did.
Sometimes I feel like
You just said you don't even know what you want, but it's my fault.
I didn't say that. Sometimes there's things that offset a woman. I said we're complicated. It's a very complex thing.
You said you don't even know what's wrong with you.
Yeah, sometimes.
Right. So how the f- that's my fault.
if you're my man also, you're going to know. Even like she said, if she's being complicated, I believe like the man and woman, like the purpose and why we are two different genders is because your man's going to know.
All right, guys, you know, at the end of my videos, I always leave gold, and always leave gold as a thank you and as a reward for those of you who stay, those of you who have the focus and the concentration to stay towards the end of the video. Now, fellas, a lot of you are actually very empathetic individuals. The reason why you are unable to understand women and the reason why you are unable to empathize with women is because they are manipulating your empathy. They are manipulating your guilt, and they are manipulating your penchant for the greater good, your penchant to sacrifice yourself for others. They are manipulating that, guys. A lot of you are quite empathetic, but you're being lied to. And so I could say that you are empathetic, but you lack a higher level of empathy to be able to even see behind lies, to be able to see behind smoke screens, to be able to see behind the dark arts. You just need a slightly higher level of empathy to be able to do so, right? And what is restricting this higher level of empathy is the element of you that is sympathetic. So it will be the element of you that is dependent on your fantasy of women. This is what's stopping you from being able to empathize correctly. You deal with women. When you deal with women, you don't deal with them from the prefrontal cortex. You deal with them from a place of lust, from a place of emotional longing. So you could be a highly empathetic individual, but when you deal with women, you are sympathetic. And this is quite the same for women as well. You know, not a lot of women at all, right? But a small percentage of women could be empathetic, but they're unable to be empathetic with you because you're a man and because they see you as a threat. Guys, like, follow, sign up for the one-on-one coaching.